Okay. How's everybody going this morning? One thing I'm not totally sure of is if Restream pulls in all of the X/Twitter chat. So, okay, so yeah, it's not showing up. I don't understand this. Why is it not showing up? Anyway, what's up, guys? Oh, okay, now it came through. All right. Hooper Niketes, thanks for joining. Melbad Rays. Actually, no, these are Twitch, not Twitter. So, I don't know. I think you have to like click into it and put a comment there, but I just don't know where to read it. I don't see it. I guess I could keep the chat open separately from Restream chat. Restream is what I use to like stream to Twitter, to, you know, to Twitch, to YouTube, everywhere. I pay for it. And it also has this thing that kind of aggregates all of the comments in one spot. However, it does not seem to be working. Let me see if I can testing. Okay, it did come through. All right, so if you use the chat, which you have to click through, you can't just reply to the tweet if you're on X. Then it should work. So we should be good. Trying to port a 3JS app to Expo. Not having a fun time. Are you using Expo 3? I just looked at that the other day. What is the current issue with it? Okay, so I'm gonna get started because I have about 90 minutes before my next thing. Well, I could probably go later. I could probably go longer. I just have something I have to prep for, but it's not until Wednesday. So I set aside some time at 11 Pacific. And if I'm having fun, I'll just keep going. But okay, so today's stream is where I'm going to review people's React Native code. All right, and feel free to respond to my tweet if you haven't seen it. I don't know if I put that in the right spot. I put it on Twitch there. What's up, Pollux? I'm gonna put it on the YouTube, and then X is read only, I guess. I love how the chat doesn't show anything. Reload the page. Okay, chat doesn't show anything, any back chat on Twitter. Interesting. Okay, so we have a few people who have already kindly volunteered, which is nice. Very nice of them. I promise I will be nice. I will be kind. I'm not going to make fun of your code. I promise. Yes. Yeah, you can volunteer your code. Post it in chat. Or if you can't do that, just reply to my tweet, the one that I just posted there. Feel free. I'm going to start, though, with, well, hold on. Let's see if I can pull this up here. You see that okay? And thanks for the follow, by the way, Pollux. I don't see chat. What the heck? Restream just went down. We'll get through. We will power through. Okay. Haven't done any React Native for a while? Yeah, no worries. Okay, so we have a... Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Something's screwed up with Restream chat, so I can't see chat right now. I'm gonna have to like look very closely at the stream, more or less, and I can't click links, so fun. So just Patrick, thank you for volunteering. We're gonna look at your code first. And yes, I have GitHub set to... Hey, what's up, Jesse? Never give up, never surrender. I love that. So we have... Let me see if I can center that a little better. We have Patrick's mobile app here. So this is a mobile client for Library Genesis for downloading and reading books. Okay. Librebooks.xyz. I can't click links right now. I'm really sorry, Pollux. Chat is just not working for me, so I guess I could go to Twitch and try to pull that in. But I'll try to find that in a bit, okay? Okay, so that website's not loading. Not sure if that's on me or on Patrick, but no worries. First thing I'll do is go over here and kind of take a look. Yeah, so this is a React Native app. All right, let me start reviewing. So we have an app folder. We'll explore that in a bit. We have assets. I'm gonna zoom in just a tad here. Looks pretty straightforward. Components. Components is outside of the app folder. There are sometimes reasons to do that, so I'm interested to dig in. We have a plugin, ESLint plugin custom rules. Looks like. Hooks folder. Common in React code bases. Screenshots. Okay, we'll have to take a look at that, but probably for App Store stuff. That's my guess. Services, standard. Store, probably state. Interested to see what state he's using here. Types and utils. Okay. So, mostly did that because of Expo Router. Yes, I know. I talked to Evan about this many times. Well, not many times. A few times. And I said, hey, we need the ability to be able to have an app folder that's not just one thing. You know, because that's where we put everything for Ignite. And I don't really like that. Apps here, but components here. Like, why? Why is that? Why are those two different things? But that's an Expo Router thing. ESLint ignore. We have a README. We're going to look at that. AppJSON, Babel config, constants.ts. I like it. It's flat. It's straightforward. You know where to find things. Utils TS. All right. Mobile client for Library Genesis. For downloading and reading books. I like this. React Native. Okay. So the features, there are recommendations, searching. You can download a book in PDF and EPUB. Very cool. Supports all categories that are currently on libgen.is. Okay. You can download them to your local library. There's a book reader. This looks like a really cool app. And you can save them to the user's account and you can restore when switching to... That's great. Restore to the last page read, bookmarks, reader themes, and dark mode. Yeah. This looks very pretty. We're not going to be like running these. I'm not going to try to run these. I like it. Looks like these screenshots are all on an Android device. And here's a reader view. Looks like that has a little handle to pull up and down. Nice. This looks good. This looks good. So there's some... You can obviously reach out there to Patrick. And It's open source. Thank you, by the way, for making this app open source. That is a rare thing. That is a rare thing, but I love it. So you're using Expo. Cool. All right, so let's take a look at your package.json, of course. And you have some basic scripts here like iOS, Android, web, build app, build it local. Looks like you're using ESLint. Bottom sheet. Sentry, Shopify flash list, of course. So far, I'm impressed. So far, I'm impressed. This is well done. Use an Expo dev client. Expo updates, of course, and status bar. MMKV. Sentry. And then some Babel stuff. TypeScript stuff. Really straightforward here. This looks very good. Okay. Let's take a look at the app folder. Yeah, so Expo router. There's the layout, which I'm going to get rid of this sidebar here so we can see the whole thing. React Native Paper. So React Native Paper has been around for a while. It's you know, Google's like material design, and it lets you, it's like a, you know, a UI kit. So you can use it to kind of build out your app fairly quickly. And you can kind of see from here that Patrick's kind of leaning on that look for his app. Nothing wrong with that. You can get a good app out really quickly. Really curious, Patrick, what your thoughts about React Native Paper are after using it. But that's the paper. Wait, go away. All right. So I'm gonna be looking at the store in a bit here. So there's a use state, const underscore layout. So this would be like an internal component that you are going to be using elsewhere here. So it's pretty good. Oh, Pollux, yeah. Yeah, nice. On change for the settings store, I gotta go look at, state first. I gotta go look at state. See what we're using here. We're using Legend State by my good buddy Jay Meistrick. That's cool. I didn't know you're using Legend State. I mean, maybe you told me that. I don't know. Legend State is awesome. Great docs. It's incredibly quick. It's incredibly fast, unlike my internet today. But it's an observable library, very similar to like MobX or something like that, but incredibly fast, optimized, fine-grained reactivity, you know, things like, you know, use observable, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we're not going to go through that. That's not what today is about, but I like Legend State, so very good. MMKV, there's a plugin for Legend State for MMKV, so you can persist to your local device. Bringing in the types. You have dark mode, light mode from constants. This is a good way to do it. If I go and look at, sorry. Oh, it's a file, right. Constants. The colors are all there just as like an object. Now, one thing I would maybe do here is add a type to that. That can be useful. The other thing you can do is put as const here, so that this then gets picked up by TypeScript as, you know, a literal. So this whole thing is a literal. I would also do that for things like this. This would be as const. And of course right here as well. And if you wanted to, you could actually use the type of dark mode to construct the type for light mode or vice versa. So you always make sure you have the same, TypeScript will make sure that you always have the same properties on light mode that you do on dark mode. VS Code in browser, just period. Oh. Thank you, Quacky Batak. Apologies if I'm missing some. Yeah, perfect. Good call. So, although now I'm used to dark mode in this. So yeah, I mean, currently it's just showing as any. I don't know if that's a VS Code issue, you know, online or what. If I say as const, is that going to fix it? Yeah, I think it. Okay, it probably. 5 require reload. I probably need TypeScript here. No, I don't need TypeScript. That's next. Okay. Oh no, that's snippets. Disable. Uninstall. Okay. I don't know. It's not giving me anything here. Let me try a reload. Screen is stuck and blurred many times. You know what? If you're watching on Twitter, you're probably better off going to YouTube. Go to youtube.infinite.red or go to Twitch. Twitch.tv/Jamin /Jamin Holmgren. So yeah, so okay. Yeah, it looks like all these keyboard shortcuts work and stuff. That's cool. All right, yeah, no, I like this. This is cool. Thank you. I appreciate the heads up on that. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. Unfortunately, doesn't look like TypeScript's working here, and I'm not sure why. Because like if I say const Jamin equals Jamin Holmgren as const. Now if I hover Jamin, oh no, that worked. Why is the other one not working? Is it just because of this? Like if I bail out of that? Ah, okay. So it doesn't know what these are. React Native paper, it's because of that. But as you can see, like if you remove those, the as const helps, because if I get rid of as const and I hover over dark mode, now it's just showing them as strings, which maybe is what you want in some cases. Like you could certainly go, excuse me, type color mode equals type of dark mode, right? And then you could just say color mode. And now if there's an issue, and of course I had to delete those other two things just to get this to show up. Let's say that I is it gonna pick up on it? It's not gonna pick up on it. But you see what I'm saying. Yeah, it should I wonder if it satisfies color mode would work here. Yeah, all right. Well, I'm gonna undo all that. Anyway, that's a minor thing. All right, but I like this. This is really straightforward. Card colors. You have a bunch of colors here. Background colors, themes. You know what some people will do? They put these files or these values all throughout their app, or they put it deep in some file somewhere. Why not just have it here? Yeah, I know it's 228 lines of code, but like, this is great. It's really simple. It's really straightforward. It's not hard at all to understand what's going on here. So, yeah, very cool. Yeah, I'll accept more repos. I don't know how many I'm gonna get to today, because you know I'm checking these out. All right, let's really quickly go through some of the other things. Index.ts. So let me scroll, bring this over. React Native animatable. Expo router. Oh, sorry, I never got through the other one, layout. Okay, so update theme. It's just a really straightforward setting store.theme.on change. So this is a, if I go back to stores real quick. So yeah, here's the state. It's an observable. Has some basic data in here. And yeah, TypeScript isn't picking up on this, but I'm sure it works. Oh, you got a little bit of a typo there. No big deal. Happens. So there's a timeout and setting the downloads. And it's filtering to make sure that any downloads that get added to this property of downloads, that they exist. Basically, is there filter? Is it truthy? And you're setting it to 1,000. There's probably a better way to do that, because obviously, if there's a delay that's too long, you got a race condition. But a lot of times, you know, this. Yeah, no problem at all. I don't have chat. Chat's not working for me. I have to read it off of the stream. My apologies. So when I'm reading, I'm having to like lean over and see. YouTube link is just youtube.infinite.red. Pollux, check yours. I will check yours after a bit, but I really want to kind of get through this and learn what I can from this. I'll be doing this again though. If it's something that people like, you know, definitely let me know if you want me to review it in a future one. Okay. So yeah, it looks like each of these stores are, so there's the theme here. This just shows system and it's an observable. And also persisting. This is very clean. I got nothing here. This is all good. This is all good. Configure observable persistence, so using MMKB. Really straightforward stuff. Okay. So I go back to the layout and setting the theme value. Setting store. Sorry. So it gets the current theme. And then if the settings theme is system, then it checks the system theme, and that's from use color scheme, which comes from React Native itself, of course. So what is your OS set to? And it'll just set those. And if it's not, then it checks and it does dark mode, light mode. Yeah, there's probably a little bit. There's a little bit better way to do this, you know. Obviously, you can do something like const. This is really minor. Theme equals settings theme dark, and then you say dark mode. Whoops. Ternary here, and this is an if else for those of you who are new to coding, and then you just go something like theme, like that, right? So it kind of cleans it up, makes it smaller. You can do the same thing up here with system theme. So instead of settings theme, it'd be systems theme, or system theme. All right. So something like that, and it makes it a little bit simpler. And just setting a little temporary variable there. So yeah, fetch user downloads. Looks like we have get the downloads. This is relatively straightforward. This is something that, and again, this is something you probably already know. You looking at this, you're like, okay, yeah, I'd probably put this somewhere else, but fetch user downloads, you might want to put it in like a folder, either a services you know, in the services folder, you could add like an API file. So you can do something like new file api.ts, and in there you could grab this fetch user downloads, What is fetch util though? Where's that coming from? That's from utils. Okay, so the question I have is if you're using a hook here. Wait. Oh, utils. There's a utils folder and a utils file, so that confused me for a second. Not a big deal. Let me see here. What was it called? Fetch util. Can I just command click it? Not quite. Okay, here it is. And it looks like it's using fetch, and there's no hooks in here. So because of that, you could just take this function and drop it into like an API. So export this, and I'm not going to make this work. You know, like obviously you understand what's happening here. You'd have to import fetch util and whatnot. But then why is it doing 4 spaces? Hold up here. It's going to work. There we go. And then you can just, you know, fetch the user downloads in your use effect from another file. Use effect uses fetch user downloads possible ES warning. True, you can just drop it in there. So if fetch user downloads ever changes, then that's another benefit of putting it into a separate function. Right now, when you have it right here, it redefines this function every re-render. So every time you re-render your layout, this is a brand new function. And so if you were to put it here, if you were to put that function there, it would fetch user downloads every re-render. And that's a potential issue. Now, what is this use effect? What is this array here? That's a dependency array. It looks for, does this ever change? If this ever changes, it will rerun this on the next re-render. By doing this, Patrick's avoiding the re-render because it's like just once. Like I only ever want it to run once. So if you were to want to have it, you know, in your, whoops. Let me back it all the way back. Okay. Okay. So if you were to want to do it this way and you wanted to do this like, okay, we put this in there, but not have it re-render every time, you would need to do something along these lines. You'd need to go const equals use callback and then, you know, do this. So what use callback does is the first time that you define it, it will define it. The second time it will use that same function that you had defined the first render and you'll return that. So now this will be a stable reference. And yes, you could move the declaration inside of use effect. This is the only place this will ever be used. This is a good point. So if this is the only place this will ever be used, this fetch user downloads, well, you could just do this. Whoops. Right here, right? So the very first time it defines a function, then it calls it, which it raises the question, why not just do that? Put it all in the use effect as just run the info, right? But it's less self-documenting. Now you'd have to like put a comment and you'd have to say fetch user downloads on first render, right? So like function names are self-documenting in some ways. Good point. Await async. So yeah, you'd need to either do you need to wrap it in, you know, like a immediately executing function, which would be something like, let's say you wouldn't need the name then. Like that, right? So you just wrap it like this, and then it's an async function, so now you can use await. Because normally in use effect, you can't use async await. And I absolutely agree with DJ Cool Software that I personally don't like putting function declarations in use effect. They tend to get too big for my tastes. So again, I actually think the best thing to do is to move it into like this API folder or API file in services, and then, you know, just call it, right? So you just call it. And then now you can put that there, but it won't matter because this is a stable reference and it won't change. So you should be in a good place there. All right, cool. I am not making a lot of progress here because we're finding interesting stuff, but I gotta say, honestly, it's good code. I don't have a problem with this. This is good. Status bar, safe area view, of course. Then we have this stack. Okay. Oh, and then export default underscore layout. So, this is how you. I'm not usually a big fan of default exports, but this is how you have to work with export router. You have to do a default export here. It's kind of like Next.js. Okay. So, index. Use state. So we have a basic like state for the account. Now I'm curious why this is in a use state. I'm really curious why this is in a use state. And the reason I'm asking is user store dot account dot on change. Okay. Yeah. So legend state has a better way to do this. What you can do is go observer from legend state. So let's see if I can do this from legend app state or something like that. It's not going to give it to me. Or actually, no. What I like to do is observer down here. That's what I like to do. So I'm not going to wrap the whole thing. So instead of this use state, with legend state, you can actually, with that observer higher order component, when you wrap it in that function down here, it will now make everything live inside of it. And so anything where you're doing, let's see here, account info, I don't need this at all. If I go to anything account info, where's account info? Yeah, like you're doing it here. You're doing it here. That's great. How come account info? Oh, it's right here. Okay, yeah. So you just grab it. In fact, you could even just do const account info equals this. And now you don't need to do anything else. Like this would actually work. Because anytime account info changes, it will automatically re-render. Observer will re-render anytime something that is accessed, like with .get, from your state. It's that simple. Is the screen really blurry? What is going on here? I'm going to quit some stuff. I even rebooted my router before this. That's frustrating, hey? So, my apologies. That I thought was fixed over on the YouTube side, but apparently that's not the case. So, my apologies. I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, but that's one little change I would make there. Let's see here. OAuth redirect. Looks like this is handling authentication. Yeah, so this is one of the cool things about Legend State is you can just set things. You know that anything that's accessing that will re-render. Yeah, exactly, Patrick. Yep. Observer, that's what you want. Let's see here. React. observer from, oh, I'm sorry. It's Legend app state React. So go to the Legend state docs and go to React API. And then you, as you can see here, you can wrap it in observer. And then anytime you get, it just re-renders anytime that there's something going on. So, yeah. All right. And again, you have another like API request here. I just throw it into an API, like, you know, an API function here so that you can just have it all in one place. It's not the end of the world though. You know, like this, the thing is people get too precious about separation of concerns and all that. I'm fine with this. If this works, like I'm honestly fine with this. Yeah, it adds a few more lines of code here. Big deal. It's fine. We have, again, this is not necessary if you use observer wrapping it, and that will clean up a little bit of that. Yeah, this all looks good. Assets, not going to look at that. Components, let's just take a look at some random components. I'm not going to look at everything. Theme manager. Missing an A there, buddy. Can use an absolute path for cleaning code. I need a little bit more info on what you're talking about there, Saeed. Pollux, it's just you here now. I don't know what you're saying. Sorry. Did I break something? All right, now you have me wondering. No, there's people watching. Okay, all right. No worries. Okay, so back handler. This is a standard thing. We have snap points. Snap points. Okay. Hardware back press. When that happens, close. Okay. And then there's you have to remove the handle. The end of that. What you can do to clean up some of this stuff, especially if you have this in multiple places. Let's see if it's, yeah, it looks like you have some similar things with these kind of like use effects, which by the way, it looks like this needs to have, it looks like you need to do this handler like remove thing. What I would do is a custom hook here. So there's multiple situations. They maybe do different things like router.back versus just back. On close, things like that. But they all have a very similar shape. So in a hook, you could just create a use back, right? .ts. I guess, well, yeah, you have everything in here, which is fine too. Like use fetch. But let's just say that we have this. So export function use back. And then what we need to take is basically the function, and you'd want to type that as well, but I'm just gonna make it like this. So use effect, and let's get this looking a little better. And then, whoops. So we have this handler, and then instead of on close, we would just do fn, and we'd call it, and we'd return true, I think. Or we could return fn, so you could decide whether you want to return true or not, because I believe that tells it whether you've handled it or not. So this use back now could then be used in, if I can find, nope, don't want to leave the site. I am missing. Okay, so you would have something like use back, and then here you would say on close, return true. So you don't need that, and you also don't forget to remove your handler at the end because it always works. Something like that. Use back. Oh, I see what you're saying, Saeed. I'm kind of two minds on using, like, you know, he's saying basically like the // thing can be cleaned up if you use like @store/store or @/store or home/store or whatever. Like, there are ways to do that with TypeScript. I honestly, in principle, I agree with you, but in practice, I end up doing this, and it works better with all the tooling, and you don't have to set things up because it just knows where things are. And I just kind of prefer that simplicity, even though it's a little more messy otherwise. So that's what I would change here with the back handler. I would make a little custom hook. I like to do that just because, again, you know, you forgot to do like the proper handling for this. So in this case, you could just, if you change this to like a use back, right? And now, without doing any other changes, I have now gotten the proper use effect handling, where we remove the listener afterward, and it just looks cleaner, looks nicer. All right. Yeah. This looks good though. I'm impressed. Like, the code looks good. It's clean. It's using some interesting like new tech like Expo Router. How are you doing styling? I guess you're doing inline styling like this. Okay, so you may disagree with this. But here's my recommendation for this, for styling. When I have styles that are inline like that, I don't mind that. That's fine. But what I do is I pull them out into variables that are at the end of the file. So here's an example. So this right here, I don't know what this is. Maybe this is like the carousel wrapper, let's say. I use a $. Carousel wrapper, right? I'll tell you why the $. In a second. And then underneath everything, and you could also create like a separate file for this, but I like to do this. Carousel wrapper equals, and then I do this. And then I will do view style, and I import that from React Native. And what you end up with is a bunch of these. Now, why use a $? Well, first off, for me, it looks like an S, and it's like styles, right? So when I'm in here and I want to use a style here, and by the way, what's nice about this is Prettier Than cleans it up, and now it looks like that. I just saved some lines of code. Your JSX looks a little bit cleaner. But yeah, if you're using that, I hit $, and I see all of my, if I go down here actually, and oh, but you have styles here. This is interesting. You have styles there. Okay, so you went with kind of both style. Well, let's say that I had container as another one. So I just grab this and I say const container, and it's a view style, equals, and paste that in. Now if I go back to this and press the $, I see both of my style attributes in the auto, or variables in the autocomplete. Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, I get that. But like all of these things, I would just, my personal opinion, you can do it this way and there's no problem. Totally understand why you do it this way. I don't blame you at all. But let's say that this was, and what is this anyway? This is an item. This is a carousel item. So you might go carousel item, right? And then that cleans this up a little bit because now it looks like that. And the style is carousel item, and you just put it down below. This is how we do it in Ignite. If you're not sure what Ignite is, it's a starter project, boilerplate CLI that we created years and years and years ago. It says 4 years ago, but it's actually, I think it started actually 6 years ago. So it's been around a long time. This is our boilerplate. But we use the $sign in that. Actually, let me show you. I go to the boilerplate, go to the app, I go to maybe one of the screens, and I jump into a debug screen, and you can scroll down to the bottom, and you see all of these different items here. They're all typed, and they're all using the $sign. And then if you look at any particular view, it's just view $item like that. So pretty cool. All right. So that's styles. EPUB.js React Native Expo file system. What is EPUB.js React Native? I don't know if I've seen this. Book reader in OPF EPUB format for React Native. Ah, that's awesome. I'm going to hit star on that. You should always hit star on libraries that you like. Do you prefer to use your own approach or Shopify Restyle? I like to use my own approach, but Shopify Restyle, Tailwind, any of those are great. They legitimately are great. They're really good, and they do the job. So it comes down to your personal preference. I prefer what I just showed you. Fewer dependencies, kind of straightforward, you know. And if you want to like share styles, you can just spread them into your objects, and they work. Yeah, this looks cool. I'm not getting very far on this one, just because I keep getting stuck on things, but it's cool. Yeah, I don't know. Folder structure is good. I wish we didn't have to have app as like its separate thing, but you can now actually customize that. So just FYI, that is customizable. You can have like app/router and put all this stuff in the router. And then you can put all these other things into your app now. As of the latest version of Expo Router, Evan Bacon finally gave in and added that. So, yeah, good job, Patrick. I'm impressed. You've done a good job. Yeah. We've been experimenting with it. We have, Expo Router, so we'll definitely take a look at it. And if we end up using it on a lot of different apps, then it will make it into Ignite. But nothing makes it into Ignite until we've proven it on real apps for an extended period of time. Like, you're not going to see anything Ignite that's not rock solid. Okay, great job, Patrick. Thank you for being the first guinea pig. That's a really solid React Native code base. Definitely go check it out if you want to learn. Big deal here. I'm gonna bookmark that one. Okay, so let's pick another victim here. Hey, not right now. Come on, someone's got some code. Oh yeah. Where's your code, Pollux? How do you join the queue? I don't know. I don't have a queue. I'm sorry. I'm just like randomly going from person to person. I'm not thinking about it that hard. All right, yeah, let's take a look at this one. All right. Go click follow. You use a lot of different names, don't you? You got Pollux, Zifam, Hafiz, but it's all you. Okay, let's take a look. So this is a few years ago, so I'll keep that in mind when I'm looking at it. It's called Whale. Whale.surf. Is this a real website? Oh, no, it's not. All right. So we've got admin, app, common, KDS. We'll have to take a look and see what that is. Local, order, restaurant dashboard, server, web. Oh, okay. So you're sharing some code between like this is a web, this is like a Next app, and then this is a React Native app, and you have like an admin, which looks like it's, let's see, Apollo. React scripts. Okay, so like a create React app. So you're using a few different technologies here. Backend technology, all kinds. We have used every different kind of backend technology, whether it's Node, Elixir, Ruby on Rails. We even had a client who had a Cold Fusion app. We had a client with a Cold Fusion app, like backend, and they were still maintaining it, and it worked great. React Native Web in there too. Okay. So these days, there are a few other options for this. Solido, React Native. So Solido.dev. It's using React Native with Next.js. And so Solido, Fernando Royo, it's a small wrapper. Yeah, there's not a lot, but it lets you kind of do the navigation stuff. And then there's some, it basically gives you a bunch of patterns that'll let you build this. But let's take a look. So, package JSON. Actually, let's look at the README. There's no README. Is there README at the root? No README. Probably want to README. That's where I'd start. Yeah. The reason I would put a README is, and keep it up to date, which I don't always. If you go look at my repos, you're going to see the same problem. But it's just a good best practice. All right. So what do we got here? Looks like you're using .env, React Native.env probably. Let me go look at package JSON. Twitch feed is sharp, but buffers a lot. I need better internet is the problem. Actually, hold on. Maybe I can. Hold up. I have like Nest cameras, a bunch of them, high definition. Oh, geez. Okay. And I'm going to turn off some of them. The reason I have a bunch of Nest cameras is because there was a couple of dudes who set fire to my house about 6 years ago. Yeah. It was a little bit traumatic. Luckily, I had one at that point. Yeah. Yeah, they set fire to it. Right where I'm sitting, actually, was where they set the fire. They poured a bunch of gasoline on the floor. We weren't home. No, they literally set fire to it. But they literally just, like, they were stealing a bunch of stuff, and then they decided that the smart thing for them to do was to set fire to it. So, yeah, I'm going to turn off some cameras here. I'll turn them back on afterward. By turning these off, it should free up some bandwidth. And I hope that that's all I need. All right, yeah, there we go. May I ask why? So what happened was, it was Christmas Eve 2017, and they were going around, yeah, it was very not smart. They were going around picking up, like, packages off of porches and stuff. They were porch thieves. Just tweakers, you know, drug addicts, these two guys. And they saw our house, and they're like, hey, we want to come back there because it's kind of secluded. I'm back sort of in the trees a little bit. Yeah, they are. They're in prison. And when they came back, they were like, oh, they're not home. You know, because we had left. We were at Christmas Eve church service. And they tried to break in. And at first, they were like trying to get in with like a hot knife through some of our vinyl windows. Our windows are built very, very well. And so that didn't work. But one of them cut his hand, so he's bleeding. This is relevant for later. X-Feed is sharp now? Okay, I need to remember to do that in future streams. Okay, anyway, so he's bleeding all over. One of them even grabbed my old chainsaw. And by old, I mean it's like a 1980s gas chainsaw. He couldn't start it. Like, there's blood all over the top of it from his bleeding hand. And when I saw it outside, I'm like, what? Why is my chainsaw outside covered in blood? So they go in, they steal a bunch of stuff, they bring it all out to their little piece of crap car. And then one of them must have been like, dude, why you got blood everywhere? They're gonna know who did this because of DNA evidence, right? Let's set the place on fire. So they went and grabbed like a gas can I had for my lawnmower. And right here where I'm sitting, they poured a bunch of gas on the floor and poured it all the way down the stairs. And then they lit it on fire. They tossed a match in and left. So we get home. Yeah, right, exactly. You know what would go great with this crime? More crime. Exactly. So we get home and we were driving separately, my wife and I. And we pull in and like lights are on, you know, the garage door works. I'm not noticing that the house is on fire. But I get out of my car and I hear the vacuum, the central vacuum is on, like right next to my head as I get out of the car, my Jeep. I'm like, what? Did we leave the vacuum on? That's really strange. I started getting a bad feeling. So I unplugged it from the wall because the way that it turns on and off is if you plug in a vacuum into one of the ports. And then I walk over to the door and I open it. It's just a wall of like dark gray smoke in front of me. I slam the door shut and told my kids, there's a fire, go out in the front yard. It's snow. There's like snow everywhere. And so I'm like, what is going on here? You know, like it's just a nightmare. And actually, I'm gonna grab some photos while I'm doing this. So it's just a nightmare. So all the kids went out and we had actually done kind of a fire. No. I'm just taking a little break here. I'll keep code reviewing in a bit here. I'm just talking about when my house was set on fire. So we had told the kids, like, if there's a fire, this is what you do. And I'm trying to find the photo here. Hold up. Okay. I need to close that. I don't want to show any personal information. Okay. I'm gonna keep the window a little bit smaller just because I don't want to dox myself. Well, that was the thing, Pollux. So we pull the cars out of the garage. Again, the lights are just on. The garage door works. Everything's, you know, good. So we pull the car out. My wife's calling 911. I go walk around the house, and I can see inside the windows, and like the Christmas tree lights are still on, but it's hazy in there. It's black smoke everywhere in there. So what had happened was that gas that they had lit did burn, and I could actually hear the AC unit. The AC unit was on. It was trying to cool the house because it was hot in there. No, it wasn't all burned down. So it was really hot in there. And actually, if I go and show you this, so this is a fire truck arriving, the very first fire truck. This guy just immediately started laying out hoses. The other guy came over to us and told us what he would do. And so, but the people, the arsonists had actually locked all or shut all the doors. And I remember the firefighter coming over to me and being like, "Hey, can you unlock the front door to make sure that we can go in quickly?" And I went over there and tested it. It was already unlocked, which was already like, what? We left it unlocked? I didn't at this point suspect arson. But what had happened is they had shut all the doors. So the only oxygen it was getting was from the HVAC system, the air conditioning. And so, you know, like here's a little video from them kind of like getting set up to go. You can see the garage is still open here. Yeah, and they're looking inside and trying to figure out where the fire is. They walked around it too. You can see it's snowing. And there's snow everywhere. And I'm just shivering, you know, at this point. So we got on our Nest camera and we saw this video. This is one of the dudes who's now in prison. And they had walked up to the car and knocked on the door to see if we were home. And then we weren't. So then they started walking and everything. And this is how we got him, was because we had this video. And so yeah, then they went in, and yeah, there's a picture of me taking a photo. And they went up to the very top, which is where the fire was. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. Yeah, there were a lot of emergency vehicles there. And this is where they started spraying out here. You can see how they're spraying out the window. What that does is that takes all the hot air and like spraying it out. Yeah, why is he stealing? Well, he was a druggie. He was a meth head. So yeah, this is them getting all the hot air out of the, it was like 410 degrees when they went up there, something like that, in the upstairs. And then, so this was me talking to my mom. Took a screenshot. There's the gas can they used. And yeah, my kids. I didn't have a lot of, there's my father-in-law stopped by. Anyway, inside was pretty damaged. It took 5 months to rebuild everything. We had to live in a rental house for 5 months. Then we moved in on May. Yeah. Yeah, my wife was actually surprisingly calm through the whole thing. So, hey, thanks for the follow, Matthias. I appreciate it. And JP as well. And thanks to Mahesh the Dev. I appreciate that as well. Didn't see your follow. Okay, anyway, let's get back to code review. But that did happen. That's why I have Nest cameras. And that's why I need to turn them off. Hey, thanks, Hector. I appreciate the follow as well. It's always fun when people follow. It's like, wow, people actually like what I do here. Okay, so what are we looking at here? We do have Restyle. Firebase, looks like. Whale Common. So sharing code between the two. Very cool. Some Expo stuff, of course. Can't have a React Native app without some Expo stuff. I mean, you can, but why would you? Lottie, Modi. React Native 65, so this is a few years old. It would take a little bit to get it up to speed. Probably. React Native Unimodules. This was a Expo thing back in the day. And workspaces. Yeah, okay. So let's see what else we got. We have an Android folder. Components. Just right here, and it looks like it's just a flat folder. I'm never going to complain if someone just has a flat folder like this. Hey, thanks, Faisal. I appreciate you listening to React Native Radio. That's awesome. Very cool. Where are you all coming from? Where are you all tuning in from, by the way? Scaldox, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm in Washington State, kind of Southwest Washington State in the United States. Where are you all from? So after receipt animation, so has a Lottie, which is like a JSON file. Autoplay, but don't loop it. Nice. Okay. Yep, that looks good. Receipt is misspelled there. That's okay. That's a hard one. Avatar. Use theme. Use meQuery. Use meQuery. I'm curious what that is. I'm gonna go look at common. The wrapper. GraphQL it looks like. Is it in here? meQuery. So it's a GraphQL fragment grabbing my stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Cool, cool. We have a use effect. Set self true. Curious why this needs to be a state. Because user data. I'm actually kind of curious how. I feel like there's some opportunity for cleanup here. I don't know how you're using this well enough, but use meQuery if this updates already as me data, like if this changes. Oh, I see. You're grabbing the me data and then you're still getting the user ID from the props. Well, I don't think you need this. I think what you can do, and again, what is the button to get VS Code? Switch to the editor. No, I don't want that. What's the button? Okay, let me catch up here on chat. Florida, nice. I saw Kenya. Some others like scrolled by without me seeing them. Let me see here. I'm just gonna go here. Czech Republic, living in Germany. What part of Germany, Skullbox? Hector, yeah. Switch to Twitch. Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks for jumping in. It's just dot. Okay, thank you. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Frank. And Pollux. Okay, so when I'm looking at something like this, you want to do these like use state things if something needs to re-render based on, based on that. But this is really a derived This is really a derived thing. So if I go const self equals, and then I just do this right there. Now you do want to do this, right? So if not self and user ID, then you might want to do something like that. And maybe this needs to be in a use effect. Maybe. I don't know what user data is here. What is user data? Get user details, lazy query. I'm going to assume that this needs to be in a use effect. But I would not do this. This to me will cause extra renders. And the reason for that is the first time through, it will run this use effect and it'll set the self, which will then re-render and come back and redo all this stuff. And since none of this stuff will have changed at that point, then it won't run the use effect, but it'll render twice. If I don't have this, and I just put this user data in here, well, I probably need this, right? And then I go like that. Let's get rid of this. This will not re-render. It will not do re-render there. So, much better. All right, cool. I wish my actual chat was working better here. Syrian working in Dubai. Oh, that's cool. I missed that. Cool. All right, so so that's one little thing I would do differently there. Handle navigate, use callback. If user me data, get user details, ID. Then push. So handle navigate is right here. Button press. Okay. So one thing that I noticed here, it's not the worst thing, but you have a lot of logic happening within within your JSX. And it's not the worst thing in the world, but I tend to, man, I can't stand this song. That was me being a junior dev 3. Totally get it. It's not even that big of a deal. But this stuff right here, I would probably grab this chunk of data here, which is, okay, if we have some me data, if the avatar is not null and it's not undefined, which can be cleaned up a little bit, right? We can just get rid of that and just say, you know, we have an avatar, right? Then we show the avatar. And even this sort of thing, you could just go something like, let me say something like const my avatar. It's like that, right? And then you could just go my avatar. That cleans that up quite a bit. And if you wanted to go even further, no, this is pretty good. So this one's user me data details name. So my name, right? And you just set that up above as well. So if we have an avatar, if we have a name, just cleans it up a little bit. And bring these things up above. It's just derived information. Yeah, see it, Pollux. Thanks for rolling along. Yep, no worries. It'll be on youtube.infinite.red. Very cool. Okay. Just pick another one random here. So I'm seeing the same use effect here. So what I would do is again pull this out. I would pull this out into a custom hook here because we're using it in multiple places. So because of that, that should be a shared hook. You just pull that in, and you can do something like const me or like self, right? Self. What else are we getting from it? That might be the only thing. Equals use me data, and then you would pass in everything. So like me data, get user details, and that's it. So you do something like that and pull this out into a separate hook. And then self becomes much easier because that's just coming out of that function, out of that custom hook. So yeah. All right. Now for me, obviously, like long term, this is totally a valid way to build an app. I like to use a central store, but not everybody does. So I like to use MobX State Tree, and so I would have a store somewhere, and I would update these things using an observable pattern. But I'm planning to do some YouTube videos about how I do that. It's not something that everybody does. Box coming from the UI. I'm actually going to go look at the UI here. Let's go take a look at that. So components. Box comes from Restyle, and we're creating it using the theme. We have the theme. Palette. I would say as const here, because that way palette has the actual values in it rather than like if I don't have as const, or I'll just, yeah, if I don't have as const, there'll be strings. So I prefer to have as const here. So I recommend that for these types of large kind of object literals. And it looks like this is using the Restyle kind of format for all these things. Yeah, looks good. Yep, create text. I mean, for me, like you've got like components box index.ts, text index.ts. Here's what I would do. I would move this. I would rename it as text, and I would delete this folder. And then move this one, rename it as box, and delete this folder. When you don't need nested folders, don't use nested folders. It's just a premature optimization. Hey, Tariq. Yeah, they do, I guess. It's cool that that I can actually see your chat show up in the Restream chat. Otherwise, I'd miss it completely. Message bubbles look awkward. Are you on mobile? I actually don't know what you mean by message bubbles. All right. What else we got? And this is going a little too hard for this morning. All right, there we go. Bottom sheet masonry list. Okay, we have a fairly complex interface here. I don't mind co-locating stuff like this, like, you know, props. This has a lot of props. Bottom sheet. Just seeing how it's used. Oh yeah, this is cool. Well, this is interesting. Whoops. Nope. Nope. No. How do I? Yeah, whatever. So this is interesting. Bottom sheet masonry list has a bunch of functionality. This is where I would start when something has a lot of props like this and a lot of functionality built into it. I would start thinking about maybe this is a potential option for some sort of a library. Oh, on mobile? Yeah, I don't know if I've watched a stream on mobile. I'm also on YouTube, youtube.infinite.red, or you can go on Twitch, at Jamin Holmgren. Or not at, but just slash, I guess, or whatever. Yeah. Using style sheet create, which is fine. By the way, my favorite way to do this is to put a $sign. And actually, no, this is not quite right because of the way this is done. It's more like this. Scroll view style would be view style. And then like so. And then just use this directly. That's what I like to do. So instead of styles, with that being a sub style there, I just put it directly in. Then I can type it, and there we go. Hi, Isaiah. I'm not sure how to say your name. All right. So yeah, there's that one. What else do you want to see? I'm just kind of scrolling through. We can look at some hooks here. Use camera roll photo. Use state. So we have that. Get photos. That comes from the React Native community camera roll, which I've actually not used myself. I'm sure that some of my developers have. But I have not used it. Access to a local camera roll or library. So there's permissions and all this stuff. Yeah, cool. Looks good. So get the, so this is an asynchronous function. So this is the same issue we would have otherwise. You probably want to use callback here. You probably want to use callback. And the reason for that, whoops, just like so. The reason for that is really you should have camera roll as a dependency here. But if you do that, it will be it'll render every single time. And we don't want it to render every single time. So by using callback, which I guess was used here too, maybe that's okay. But by using the callback here, then this will be a stable reference, and this won't continue to regenerate this. And then use effect get roll. Okay, that works. But I like this. Use camera roll photo. I like how this is set up. You can just call it, and if I do that, it doesn't look like it's actually used. Okay, that's fine. Use the bounce. Fairly straightforward thing. Timeout. Use this quite a bit here. So nothing there. Looks fine. Use this foreground. I've made these before myself. Use this screen focused. Yeah, just some utilities. Is there a better way to do hooks than just throw them into a hooks folder? I have not yet found a better way. I actually find that that's kind of a fairly... It doesn't feel right. It's like hooks, like having its own spot, but it kind of just works. Kind of just does the job. I'm very much about practicality. Source. Now, what I don't understand here is why you have app here and things like components and stuff, but then source as well. So it looks like this is more like features. I'd probably rename this as features or something along those lines. Better yet, call it screens. If they're screens. I mean, this looks like it's maybe a screen. Yeah, I mean, not bad, really. Not bad. There's some nitpicks I could make, but I don't want to nitpick. I want to do substantive, feedback. And looking at this, fairly good stuff. So you have a lot of these types of things where it's like, if there's data, then get single, and if there's that, then get the name. A lot of times you probably want some sort of a fallback here. Like if there's no name, should it just be empty? And this is where I like having derived data, usually through the state management solution. So we're getting data from this get single menu item query. Then I would probably do something like menu, or let's say item name, right? I would just pull those out and put that, and then you could do things like or just blank string if you want, or unknown, or something along those lines. Kind of prefer keeping hooks closer related to business logic. Feels like a messy kitchen door otherwise. Yeah, it's very similar to a utils file or folder. And that's why it feels wrong, but then when you're actually working in it, you're just like, it's a hook. Just throw it in there. You know where it is. Everybody knows where it is. It lost to them being in a util directory. That's way better, isn't it, Frank? We probably should just have a hooks folder. Yeah, again, like this sort of thing. If it's not undefined and it's not 0, this could probably be single meta item. So item price. It can just be item price. If there's an item price. Actually, no, it'd be something like this, right? So, yeah, if there's an item price, then it, and actually, if you want it to be divided by 100 here, you could do that beforehand. So the item price could be divided by 100 for viewing here. So, or 0 divided by 100, like that. So now your item price is formatted and boom, we're good. I just Command P everything anyway. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on here. Use create story comment mutation. I would recommend pulling this out into its own separate file. So like this is a situation where like use create story comment mutation, create comment. So you could have like And this is actually where you could put it co-located. Use create comment, right? .ts. And then const create comment equals use create comment. And you pass in anything you need here, right? And then just drop that in here. And I like that better because then if you really need to look at the create comment, you just jump over to it and you look at it and you make your changes here and then you're good to go. It's just when it starts getting too big, it's like it's really kind of just it just jams up your file. Now I don't want to move it too far. I really don't want to move it too far. I just get really leery of putting too much in your actual component. I don't like too much in here. I like it to be mostly JSX. So I would recommend that. Otherwise, looks fine. Yeah, don't mind this. That all looks good. So David Khorshid, David K Piano on Twitter, would say don't use Boolean values like false. Now I don't know your data structure, but what I would probably do here is be like status, set like status, and it would be something along the lines of use state, and then it would be like statuses and the first one would be none, let's say, and then you would take this like statuses and you would have type like statuses equals none liked super liked, right? So instead of having two booleans, because what if it's super liked but not liked? That doesn't make sense. It's one of those three, right? Like, so you have those three states, and then you just set the like status that way and use the like status like that. Use me query hook. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. That's the only thing I would probably say there. A lot of times, again, in these types of things, I like to pull them up, up here. So like this is story like, get story like. You might have like, it'd be like story like color, and then just pull that up somewhere up here. Story like color, const story like color equals this, and there you go. I don't know, for some reason this is just stuff, this is the sort of thing I like. And if you want to kind of just put them all in one place, you could have like derived states, and then just put everything here, like any derived states, just drop them in like that. Those are some of the changes I would make there. I don't have any problem with these types of things. This all looks fine. Looks fine to me. Yeah. Well, I think I'm done with this one. Overall, good job. I mean, this is 3 years old, 3 years ago, and obviously that you were fairly new to the industry, new to React at that point. So I don't blame you at all. It was that's a pretty solid code base. I think there's some things you could tighten up there. A little bit of organization here and there, but overall, I mean, pretty solid. Pretty solid. Not bad at all. Okay. I think someone sent me a gist. That's a fairly short one here. And I'm trying to remember. Oh, there's this one here. Safe word. This 2048. And I thought there was a gist. Not enough UFOs. I'm not seeing, or wait a minute here. No. Huh. I'm pretty sure someone sent me a gist, but. Oh, okay. You're here? Awesome. I'll look at yours. Quacky attack. Follow you. Apoorv? Apoorv? Yeah, thanks for sending this over. I appreciate it. Okay, clone of 2048 in React Native with animations. Nice. Clone of the famous game 2048, developed by Gabriel Cerulli in React Native. I tried to copy everything, including colors, fonts, and animations. 2048 is a very fun game. Just swipe around the board to move the tiles and combine them to reach 2048. Okay. I wanted to test my skills with animation. You know what? I love this. I love that you included this. Why create this? This is great. This is great. I want to see what you were thinking, because without that, there's almost no context. Did someone ask you to make this? Was this, were you trying to like make a bunch of money? Was this something where you were doing it for, a code challenge? Like, is it for school? I just don't know. I have no idea. But when I scroll down and I see I wanted to test my skills with animation and gestures, that's great. This is great. Now I'm kind of looking at your code through different eyes. Like, this is what you were trying to do, right? Animations were quite easy to create. Much of my time went into writing code for the game logic, which I changed from the actual one. Interesting. How to animate cells. The only other clone I found of 2048 in the React Native GitHub was over 7 years old, so I thought, why not? By the way, hit star on this, folks. 2048 by Uragirii. All right. So, React Native reanimated, which is fantastic. Gesture handler, of course. Expo, yes, it is the way. You're right. Expo fonts, Clear Sans. Apache 2. Okay, yeah, no worries. Very, very nice. Oh, and you even mentioned official colors, constants.ts. I like how you've organized this. Very clean folder here. There's just the basics, just the things you need. app.tsx, the source, screenshots, assets. Okay, let's go look at source. Actually, no, let's go look at app.tsx. Nobody's used Ignite yet. So, I'm going to close this. Very clean. Use fonts. No worries. This is like great. Pulls in is fonts loaded. So it gives you a little bit of time. You just have a little like background. This is like a very clean way to, are the fonts loaded or not? Once the fonts are loaded with use fonts, then it'll re-render this and you'll get to your app screen. From a game perspective, you may defensively write something like, have a timer in there that's like, yo, fonts aren't loaded yet. This is taking a while. Might do something different, right? Like just a timer. All right, let's go to source and constants.ts. All right, pretty straightforward. It looks like you've typed these as record with number and string, which is totally legitimate. Okay, dot. Let me grab it in here. Keep forgetting to do that. Ignite is newer than this project. No, it's not. However, Ignite continues to be updated. That's true. Ignite was started in early 2016. Actually, it was started before then, but it was released in early 2016. So it's been around for almost 8 years. Actually, it's been around for 8 years for sure. Just hasn't been released. It was released almost 8 years ago. So Ignite is, that's a lot of work went into Ignite. A lot of work. Okay, so again, I like to throw an as const here. Just sort of like, you know, theme now is very specific. So when you access, if I say theme dot fonts dot bold, you can see here that I know what it is now, right? It shows up. It just narrows the type to a string literal. You can also do this and then whoops, let me get rid of this. Then that one is going to be not a string, or not just string, but it'll actually be that. So you could put individual things as const if you want. But obviously the easiest and least amount of code is just like that. This is record number string. Again, you could just go as const. And then you have the actual strings there. And I think you could do satisfies record string as, let me see if this, oh, whoops. Do I need to put this first? Okay, that works. Now, does this work if I put Jamin Holmgren? Okay, so I don't know if real TypeScript would, with this satisfies thing, if this would like blow up and say, yo, this needs to be a number. You could play with that. I don't care enough to, but yeah. All right, components. Flat, I like it. Hey, there's another hooks folder. Use a cell value as the key. That's why I had to typecast to record number in string. Cell value as a key. Cell value as a key. I'm not sure I totally understand what you mean by that. That does sound interesting though. Anyway, hooks folder. Use cell size. Cell value is a number. TS would throw in. Oh. Yeah. Fair enough. That works. So, like, this is probably not what you want then. And I am by no means an expert in this. Let me see what happens if I do this. No, it just pulls it up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so use cell size. Very clean, very straightforward. Use force re-render. By the way, there's a better, slightly better force re-render. I'll show you it. Slightly. An empty array is never equal to another empty array. So if you ever set state to empty array, it will always re-render. Always. And the reason I know that is because MobX React Lite. I know this has been archived. See if it shows up somewhere. No, not set state. What am I doing? Let me see if I can find a use state. So this is the old one. This is the old one here. This would like do a, so it must be, anyway, it doesn't matter. They eventually updated it to just be an empty array instead of a tick that would be updated. So yeah, because conceivably you could run out of numbers, conceivably. But anyway, let's get out of that. All right, use game. I always like a use game. I mean, I've a lot of times when I make a game, I have a use game hook. So yeah, this is like the brain of the game. Okay, get cells with X. Board filled. Oh, interesting. You know, I don't know if I've ever done this where I just extend error. How are you doing this? I'm going to learn things from you. Throw new board filled. Okay. Board has maximum number of cells possible. Okay. That's reasonable. I mean, obviously you can also just error, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then by doing this, you don't have to have your string down here. You can have it up above. Oh, and you can also check if it's an instance of that. Clever. Okay. Get cells with X, get cells with Y, get cells with XY. This is what ChatGPT is great at, this sort of coding right here. Error message used when the game ends. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Get random position. Remove cell. Start game. You know, I don't have any issue with what you did here. It's great. This is the one situation where using a class actually kind of makes sense. Just make a class and then use a class instance. And actually something like Legend State or MobX would work amazing for this. MobX State Tray as well, because then you can use actions to do all these functions, like all these changes here. You just call an action on it, and then everything that needs to re-render will re-render. And then you could also create like views for this, which would be automatically memoized. So these types of things would all be memoized. I mean, you have board, which is already an array. Anyway, that's fine. This is all good. This is all good. Every bit of it. Not seeing a lot of comments. Use game. But I mean, overall, like, this is good. Yeah, I don't... Game over screen. Actually, let me look at the board. Let's start game. It's coming from use game. Okay. I would be a little careful with that. There might be a use effect situation. Like, this could get rendered twice in rapid succession, although I guess start game could be like a really quick. Yeah, it looks like it works synchronously, so you're probably fine. Background cells and cells. This is really simple stuff. Straightforward. Yeah. App screen. Yep. Cell looks good. Background cell. Here's a cell. What's top? A shared value. Yeah. From reanimated. Okay, that makes sense. So now you can like animate things to those positions. So you're getting the position with timing. Yep. Reanimated's so awesome. Yeah, yeah. Position X and Y animated. Yeah. 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 I think I've seen almost everything. Well done, man. This is cool. This is really cool. Like, everything looks really good, and it's very simple. It feels like it's the most straightforward way to do what you wanted to do. This use game hook, I think that I would consider using something like MobX State Tree here, or Legend State or something like that, where you can observe state and make the changes that you want to make, and then you just like call methods on the state. I think it would probably clean it up just a bit in terms of just kind of mentally modeling what's happening. At least for me. But yeah. Yeah, very good. Well, I think that's the last one I'm going to do. The unsung hero. I agree. I appreciate it, Apoor. Very cool. Good job. I'll look at SafeWord next time. And anybody else has some, let me know. I'm more than happy to take a look at them in future streams. This was really fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah, absolutely. It looks good. You did a good job. Definitely, this was like the first time I've done this. And if you all think that I should do it again, let me know. It's always fun to do this sort of thing. But yeah. Anyway, I have to get to work. Unfortunately, there are some things on my desk that I need to do, like 400 emails. So I will see you all later. And you all have a wonderful Monday and rest of your week. Take care, everybody. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody who followed. Oh, Space Auto. And Effie Permeg. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate those. Thank you very much. Want to share my code, but too much M. You know, you could just throw me a gist. Like you could just dump a gist at my way or something, and I can look at a single file. I'm fine with that, or whatever, or like a few files in a gist. Like you can do multiple. So just stuff that's like non-proprietary, you know, whatever you want. So okay, see you all later. Have a good one.